Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Quickfreeze's Game Room. Today is going to be episode 13 of Quickfreeze Versus, and I'm going to be playing a game based on the not-so-jolly Green Giant. That's right, the Incredible Hulk! Now, the Incredible Hulk was created by two people, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and the character first appeared in the Incredible Hulk issue 1 in the year of May of 1962. The story of the Incredible Hulk is one filled with anger, frustration, destruction, but it's also one filled with the feeling of just wanting to be left alone. Dr. David Bruce Banner, the alter ego of the Incredible Hulk, was accidentally exposed to a blast of gamma radiation from a gamma bomb that he invented. Afterward, Dr. Banner would transform into a raging humanoid monster known as the Incredible Hulk. Now, Stan Lee said he had two major influences in the creation of the character. The first being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the second one being Frankenstein, wanting someone who could change from man to monster and back again, but he also wanted this character to be a force for good and not evil. Although the Hulk's skin tone is usually a shade of green, originally the Hulk's skin was gray in the very first issue and not green. Stan Lee chose gray for the Hulk because he wanted a color that did not suggest any particular ethnic group. And also, originally, Dr. Banner's transformations into the Incredible Hulk were actually due to the time of day, where he would actually transform at night, much kind of like a werewolf, but without the full moon. However, the colorist Stan Goldberg had problems with the gray coloring, resulting in the different shading of gray. Stan Lee chose to change the color tone to green in the second issue to make things a lot easier for him. Now, as the stories went on for the Incredible Hulk, the basis of his transformation changed, where Bruce Banner would grow angry or outrage, then he would transform into the Incredible Hulk, and he would no longer transform whenever it became nighttime. As the Hulk, Bruce Banner is capable of amazing feats of limitless physical strength, durability, and endurance, the magnitude of which would increase in direct proportion of how angry he gets. As the Hulk puts it himself, the madder Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets. He is also resistant to most forms of injury and damage. He can withstand the equivalent of solar temperatures, nuclear explosions, and planet-shattering impacts. The Hulk is shown to have both regenerative and adaptive healing powers, including growing tissues that would actually allow him to breathe underwater, survive unprotected in space for an extended period of time, and be able to heal wounds in a matter of seconds. As an effect, he has an extremely prolonged lifespan. And the Hulk has powerful legs that will actually allow him to cross great distances at a single bound. And he displays a significant superhero speed, which would actually match Thor, the God of Thunder. As Bruce Banner, he is considered to have one of the greatest minds on Earth. He has developed enterprises in the field of biology, chemistry, engineering, psychology, and holds a PhD in nuclear physics. He also possesses a mind so brilliant that it cannot be measured on any known intelligence test. Bruce Banner also makes his use of his own intelligence to create highly advanced technology, which is on par with technological developments from Tony Stark and Dr. Doom. Alright guys, so that is a brief history of both Dr. David Bruce Banner and the Incredible Hulk. So, let's go ahead, let's get started and play the Incredible Hulk for the Sega Genesis and see if I can beat this game. Now, this game does not have a continue, so as before, I'm allowing myself 4 days to beat this game. If I have to go into the 5th day for any reason, then I failed to beat the Incredible Hulk for the Sega Genesis. So, let's get started and see what I can do. Alright guys, this is the Incredible Hulk for the Sega Genesis. You are greeted with a nice title screen here, and as soon as you press start, you are greeted to a nice animation of Bruce Banner transforming into the Incredible Hulk. After the animation, you're immediately thrown right into the game and you're greeted with your first enemy, This is kind of like just a regular gun soldier, but he can be extremely annoying. Now once you take care of him, you meet the second enemy. This guy is not as annoying because he'll simply just stand there and shoot his gun. Basically you just want to stand in front of him and punch him to death. Now there's actually a lot of power-ups in the game. The green capsules right here, when picked up, they'll refill Hulk's health. This purple and green pill, I'll explain a little later on when I actually have some use for it. Now back to these gunner guys. These guys are extremely annoying, as I already said, because they'll shoot you and drain Hulk's health. It's best to either jump over them or simply pick them up and throw them away, because you can actually use them to damage other enemies in the game. Now I actually forgot one little power icon, which I actually had to go back for. If you notice on top of the building, there's a small spinning T on top of it. Now these are very, very important later on in the game, which I'll explain to once I get to that part, but you definitely want to pick up as many of these T icons as possible. Now the first part of the stage is pretty linear, so there's not that much to say. Just keep grabbing the enemies and tossing them aside, following the path. Remember that purple and green pill I picked up a while ago? Well, this is where it comes in handy. Pause the game and press the C button, and this will cause the Incredible Hulk to transform back into Bruce Banner. As Bruce Banner, you can get into places where the Incredible Hulk cannot. Now, Bruce's only weapon in the game is a gun. But unfortunately, this gun only has 2 shots in it, and then it's useless. Now once you use the gun, that's it, you don't have any more. And since you don't have superhuman strength, your only option as Bruce Banner is to simply crawl on the ground. This may seem cowardly, but it will get you through the stage without taking any hits from any bad guys. But unfortunately, you do get to some parts where you have to jump. Now you have to be quick or you will die. Now if you die as Bruce Banner, you'll immediately transform back into the Incredible Hulk and continue on. Now I actually wanted to show you this part right here, because you guys noticed before, when I jumped in the water as Bruce Banner, I died. Well, that's not true for all water. Some water actually contain hidden power-ups. When you get to this area, simply press around and you actually pick up a T icon and a purple and green pill. Now halfway through the level, you'll come across a mini-boss against the Abomination. Now this game isn't quite tough, but I still recommend you guys be a little careful. Now you could stay in the left corner and simply just keep pushing and he will jump into you. But this actually gives him a chance to get in a few hits. Now if you take enough hits, you'll actually revert back to Bruce Banner. Now you really do not want this, because if you don't have the gun power up, you are basically useless. But if you do have the gun power up, you only get 2 shots and then you once again become extremely useless. You cannot fight, you cannot do anything, all you can do is die. Now you may have already guessed the strategy I use against the Abomination, but here it is anyway. Just get in the left corner and simply duck, and when he comes near you, do the uppercut. Do this over and over and over again, because all he'll do is jump at you, but he'll keep hitting the ceiling, making him not able to hit you. Now when he's actually defeated, he'll just simply kneel on the ground, and then you can proceed forward. Now once you defeated Abomination and you get out of the sewers, the level stops being linear and has multiple paths. Now you can either go above or below ground. I recommend going below ground so you can transform into Bruce Banner. Now as Bruce Banner, you are basically powerless again, so simply just keep ducking and crawling to the end of the stage. No one will ever touch you. Do this until you get to the end of the stage. Now if you changed into Bruce Banner on your own free will, if you take one more hit as Bruce Banner, you'll revert back into the Incredible Hulk. Now you're asking, why would you actually want to become Bruce Banner? Well, I've already shown you. To get into places where the Incredible Hulk cannot, and have the ability to simply crawl throughout the entire stages so you don't have to fight everyone in your path. Now is a good time to actually explain the lives in this game. You have 3 lives at the beginning of the game. If you lose all 3 lives, it's game over. Now, you would think you actually get continues in this game. No, there are no continues in the Incredible Hulk for the Sega Genesis. You lose all 3 lives, and that's it. Anyway, let's talk about the first stage boss. Here, we're going to fight the Rhino. Now, you probably remember the Rhino from the Spider-Man comics. Well, here, we're going to fight him as the Incredible Hulk. Now, before I explain how to beat the Rhino, look at the top of the screen and you'll notice something there that wasn't there before. You'll see a time counter. Now, do you remember those T icons I kept collecting throughout the stage? That's what the T icons do. They add more time to the amount of time you have to defeat the bosses of each stage. Now, this is the only time you'll see a time counter in the entire game, is when you fight the boss. And if the time counter goes down to 0, it's the same thing as losing all your health. You just end up dying. But how do you beat the Rhino? Simple. Just simply stand in the middle of the stage and constantly keep punching until he runs into you. Once you punch him, jump over him, because if you punch him and just stay there, you will take a hit. If you take enough hits, you'll revert back to Bruce Banner, then you'll end up dying anyway. So keep jumping over the Rhino every time you hit him. Now, this is the boss that I actually had a hard time to defeat because of the time counter. You want to shoot for about 1 minute and 30 seconds. That should give you enough time to defeat the Rhino by using this strategy, by punching and jumping over him. With the Rhino defeated, Hulk jumps away in the search for peace. But Hulk doesn't find peace when he lands. He actually falls through the ground into an unknown area. Level 2 starts off pretty much the same way as level 1, but now it's like an Egyptian theme, where all the guys are basically the same gunners from the previous stage, but, just wearing different clothing. So, how do you beat these guys? The same way. Pick them up and toss them away. You really do not have to fight them. Now, this level is actually quite generous with a lot of life. It has a lot of different power-ups that the first stage kind of like skimped on, so I actually enjoyed this stage quite a bit. Now, what the stage has different than level 1, it has wall switches where you have to keep hitting these wall switches to, change the walls, change the floors. Now, they may seem a little complicated, but this level still is quite linear, just like the first stage. And as before, you want to pick up every single T icon to add more time for when you fight the boss. And this is actually the first time where I found the Gamma Pill. Taking the Gamma Pill will make the Hulk out, giving him tremendous strength and speed. This is extremely useful because you can just blow through the level like there's no tomorrow. Now, there's one downside to this Gamma Pill. As you proceed through the level and smashing and crushing and destroying all your enemies amongst your way, your life will slowly go down. Once the white part of your life goes down, you revert back to the normal Hulk mode. But just continue on your way, throwing enemies aside, smashing walls, and hitting switches to convert the different walls and floors around to proceed through the level. But be careful, because some switches will actually lead to your certain death, killing you instantly. So with that, it does take some exploration. Don't just keep hitting switches around, hoping you'll get through the level. Explore around and actually find the right switch that will make you proceed through the rest of the level. You'll eventually come across another mini-boss, and once again, it's Abomination. Now, to beat him is quite simple, but there's nothing for him to hit his head on, so you're going to have to fight him a little differently. What I ended up doing is just being very overly aggressive. Just punching him in and then waiting for him to jump over me, turn around and then punch him again. Keep doing this and he'll eventually go down. There's really no other way to beat the Abomination. The second half of the level requires a little more exploration where you have to find hidden switches that you wouldn't normally find them. Because I say this, you have to explore alternate paths, there's disappearing platforms, there are more enemies, but these don't really matter, but you really just need to explore a lot more in the second half of the level. Keep doing this and you'll eventually come across the second stage boss. This is Tyrannus, a being with godlike powers. Now, this may seem quite difficult, being a god and all, but he's actually quite easy. What you want to do is just simply get in close to him and constantly keep punching him. He's really that easy. If he flies up in the air, just jump up and meet him and punch him while you're up there. Now, you'll notice that time really doesn't matter when fighting this boss. He's really that easy. Just stay close to him and constantly just keep punching him. There's no real strategy to this boss battle. Just keep punching him. That's all you really gotta do. When you finally do enough damage to him, he'll turn into a statue, completing the level. With Tyrannus defeated, Hulk leaps away and lands in a brand new level. Before he can do anything about it, he realizes that he's been captured by the leader. Level 3 starts off very familiar, where you're back fighting the gun troopers. But level 3 has something different that level 1 does not have: environmental hazards. You're going to encounter guns on the walls, on the ceilings, and you're even going to encounter walls that you actually can destroy. Now, this level is also very similar to level 2, where you actually have to activate different switches throughout the entire level. These switches will control different elevators throughout the level, and you're going to have to ride these different elevators to continue. And eventually, you'll come across the mini-boss. Now, just like level 1 and 2, you're going to fight Abomination for the third time. And the strategy really doesn't change. Just keep being overly aggressive and keep punching him as he jumps over you. Keep doing this, and he'll eventually go down. As you'll continue through the game, you'll flip more switches, fight more bad guys, until you come across the third stage boss. This is Absorbing Man. And I'll tell you right now, as a child, I could never get past this boss. Now, the way this boss fights is he'll just stand in one place swinging his giant ball and chain. Now, you want to get in close and, do one hit and maybe walk away. Now, this does take very precise timing, because if you don't get in there and out very quickly, you will get hit by the ball and chain. When you do enough damage to Absorbing Man, he'll run across the room and actually touch the falling wall. This will absorb its power, and it will also refill Absorbing Man's health. Now, the strategy of fighting him really doesn't change. You want to just get in there, throw a few punches, and then get out quickly before you get hit with the ball and chain. Now, I've been fighting this guy for the past day and a half, and I just can't beat him. No matter what I do, I just cannot get the timing down correctly. So I ended up dying multiple times, and I just can't beat him. I got to the point where I started to get really frustrated, and all I just kept doing is just punching him non-stop. And I know this isn't the strategy I just told you guys, but I was just getting too frustrated to fight this guy, and it was on my last day. And no matter what I did, I just could not beat him. But there you have it. I just got too frustrated, and I was unable to beat the Incredible Hulk for the Sega Genesis. Okay, so there you have it. That is the Incredible Hulk for the Sega Genesis. Unfortunately, I was unable to beat the game. Now, my only gripe with the game is when you're Dr. David Bruce Banner, you are wide open to attack. Now, you do have a weapon, yes, but that weapon only has 2 shots in it. If those 2 shots are used up, forget about it. You're done. You're useless. You might as well just get killed and start over as the Incredible Hulk. Now, if they made the game where you start off as David Bruce Banner, and as you took damage, you would grow more angry, then you transformed into the Incredible Hulk, I believe that would be a lot better than if you start off as the Hulk, and as you get damaged, then you change to Bruce Banner. It doesn't make any sense for the character of the Hulk. The madder Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets. It doesn't make any sense, but oh well. Now, the minor enemies in the game, such as the Gunners, they're extremely easy. Like I shown you in the video, just pick them up and toss them aside. Do not fight them, because as you fight them, they'll shoot you and they'll drain your health. So simply just pick them up, toss them aside. They're really not important. You actually can use them as weapons. Just toss at the other gunners. But the bosses, oh my god, they are actually really, really difficult. They may not shown in the video, but they are quite difficult. And what makes them difficult is the time. I don't know what game I've ever played where it does not have a time limit until you get to the boss. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what made the boss battles extremely difficult, especially the first boss against the Rhino, is you were not fighting the Rhino, you were fighting the clock. So I would definitely have to change that. Anything, get rid of the time. Now, during the gameplay, I mentioned there was no continues in the game. Well, that's not true. There actually is continues in the game. You know those T icons that I picked up during the gameplay? Well, there's actually C icons. And if you actually find those and pick those up, that's what gives you the continues. But during the 4 days that I played this game, not once did I find one of those C icons. So they must be extremely hidden and very hard to find. But all in all, would I recommend this game to anybody? No, not really. I pointed out a couple flaws in this game. If you really wanted to play like an older Incredible Hulk game, then yeah, I guess you could play this one. But honestly, no, I would not really recommend this game to anyone. And I'm a huge Incredible Hulk fan. I actually did enjoy this game as a kid, but if someone asked me if I recommend this, not really, unless you're a true Incredible Hulk fan and you just want to play an older game. Anyway, guys, that is episode 13 of Quickfreeze Versus. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I will be posting a list at the end of the video showing all the superhero games I own. So if you guys want to request a game, please do so. But do that knowing that I do have some requests already, so it may take me quite a while before I get to your actual request. So with that said, I want to say thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed to me. So I'm just going to end the video by saying I'm Quickfreeze from Quickfreeze's Game Room, and I'm here to bring gamers together one game at a time. See you guys.